are these people?
All out war. Care Bear. You've been paying attention to what's happening in Yemen?
Yes.
Good. So, let's get started with this story from Ahmed Abdulkareem. I hope I didn't butcher your name. The threat of all-out war. Yemen nears the tipping point as U.S. airstrikes intensify. Of course, this is from MintPress, doing incredible work. Go support them. So, he writes, in the courtyard of Yemen's famous Al-Shaib Mosque, guards of honor stood at attention, accompanied by the melody of military music as the funeral ceremony of Yemeni Marines killed in the last round of U.S. and U.K. strikes commenced. The mourners, many of whom traveled from the countryside to attend, walking alongside a long convoy, carrying the bodies of 17 victims as it has made its way through the streets of Sana'a. Mourners held aloft photos of the deceased or thrust their rifles into the air while chanting slogans condemning the United States, as you should. Several banners prepared the crowd, emblazoned with the label given to those who gave their lives in what many view as a struggle in defense of Palestine. Quote, martyrs on the road to Al-Quds, aka Jerusalem. 17 pickup trucks ensconced in green drapes bore the bodies. They were escorted by family members alongside thousands of mourners leaving Sana'a for the hometown of the victims who hailed from various regions of Yemen. The scene unfolded last Sunday when thousands of angry Yemenis took to the streets of Sana'a, I hope that's how you pronounce that, and other cities to hold a funeral for those killed by the attacks. Retribution against American soldiers. We will not abandon our revenge, some mourners proclaimed. In Bani Matar, 70 kilometers west of Sana'a, towards the Hodeidah Road, the mothers of Siad al-Jlan and Hajam al-Sawari watched the convoy from a rooftop as it carried along the bodies of their sons. Ziad and Hashim were not involved in the fighting. They were among a number of civilians killed in attacks launched by the U.S. Navy on the Yemeni mainland 1 week ago. My son was martyred on the road to Al-Quds. Siad's mother said proudly, we will not be broken and we will not abandon Gaza. Thoughts so far, Care Bear? Anything?
Let's wait for a bit. I have a thought, but I want to think about it a little bit more.
U.S. and British officials maintain that their attacks target Houthi military positions, just like Israel swears it's Hamas, ammunition stores and missile launch sites, but the reality of the ground tells a different story, as it normally does. Yemeni civilians say they are blind and indiscriminate and often leave civilians maimed or killed. Assuming the U.S. and U.K. are acting in good faith, it is clear that their intelligent information is lacking. A truck belonging to a farmer carrying plastic pipes was targeted in an airstrike outside the city of Sadah last week. It is believed that the pipes were mistaken for missiles. The story has repeated itself ad nauseum throughout Yemen since the end of December, when the multinational Operation Prosperity Guardian was launched in a thus far failed attempt to protect ships linked with Israeli goods, I guess. Ansar Allah. This week alone, as many as 40 strikes were launched by the U.S. and the UK, most targeting the coastal city of Hodeidah.
I mean,
So
is Hamas there?
probably Hamas is everywhere. You have Hamas inside you, Collin. Hamas is in all things. So this is the coffins of Ansar Allah fighters killed in the U.S.-led airstrikes on Yemen. You know, nice they got those Toyota Helixes out there still running. You know, killing the game. So can I click the? There we go. The danger of Washington's attacks on Yemen's mainland lies not only in exposing civilians to danger, but has the potential to spark retaliatory measures taken by Ansar Allah should pressure from the public and family members of victims continue to mount. On December 29th, when U.S. forces killed 10 Yemeni sailors aboard 3 ships in the Red Sea. Ansar Allah refrained from retaliating, but when Americans and British bombs peppered mainland Yemen the next month, striking major cities with over 100 precision-guided missiles, leaving civilians dead and maimed. Not so precision, are they? Ansar Allah reacted, carrying out a barrage of retaliatory attacks. Some Yemeni officials have even hinted that 2 U.S. Navy SEALs that the U.S. government claims drowned while boarding a boat smuggling weapons into Yemen were actually killed in combat. Collin! What does SEAL mean? What does that acronym mean, Care Bear?
That's an acronym?
Yes, you didn't know?
No.
It stands for Sea, Air, and Land. Do you know why that sea part is important for SEALs? You ever seen SEALs in movies? Where do they come out of?
Yeah.
Water. They come out of water. They come out of water. Okay? They go for weeks on end in Bud's training for water confidence school. Do you think that two highly trained U.S. Navy SEALs would drown?
No.
Okay.
Not likely.
Not likely. I just wanted to point that out for the boys and girls at home. Okay. They might have left a boot. I don't know. We'll see. It is not known.
That's an inside joke.
Yes.
To a segment.
Look up Das Boot on our channel.
Das Boot segment.
Uh-huh. It is. Hopefully I can annotate that somewhere if I remember. Bro, their scuba equipment failed or they were sabotaged, says Indy Left. Have you seen water confidence training?
How likely is that gonna happen though?
No, they train for it. They literally, the test goes, you put a guy underwater, Collin, okay? He's underwater. You black out his mask, you spray paint his mask black, okay? Then you have 3 trained U.S. Navy SEALs push him around, cut his lines, undo things, close valves. Is literally part of the training. Under duress. Okay. Okay. You know. So it is not known whether the soldiers were killed in attacks by Ansar Allah ballistic missiles or drones, or during a failed commando operation, as the U.S. claims. But what is clear is that the U.S. is covering its losses, and information about the deaths of the SEALs have been highly politicized. In fact, many of the details surrounding hostilities between the U.S. and Ansar Allah have been cast in a heavy fog of war, and it will likely be years before the truth is revealed. What is certain is that Ansar Allah has caused direct material damage to U.S. military vessels, targeting numerous times with advanced missiles and drones launched. In the wake of every single such attack, a statement was issued reaffirming Ansar Allah's right to take revenge for those killed on January 31st. The Ansar Allah announced that the American destroyer, the USS Gravely, was hit by several anti-ship missiles in the wake of the attack. U.S. Central Command, aka CENTCOM, announced that the Gravely had shot down an advanced anti-ship cruise missile. Later, reports emerged that the destroyer in question and other Western military assets in the area had failed to intercept the missile until it got within 4 seconds from hitting the U.S. warship. Collin, what do you think? How far do you think a missile can get in 4 seconds? A missile.
Pretty far.
Pretty
far.
quick?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty close.
Yeah.
On January 25th, Ansar Allah said that it had clashed with American destroyers in the Gulf of Aden and Bab al-Mandab for 2 hours, One U.S. Navy vessel was directly hit after a failed interception attempt, according to Ansarullah, who have been improving their capabilities since 2014, after a failed Saudi-led and U.S.-backed bombing campaign left the country in tatters. This undated photograph released by CENTCOM shows the vessel that was being boarded by U.S. Navy SEALs near Yemen in a raid that saw 2 commandos go missing. In just 24 hours, Yemen has sunk British registered cargo ship Ruby Mar, downed American MQ-9 Reaper attack drone over Hodeida, struck American cargo vessel Sea Champion, and struck American cargo vessel Navis Fortuna. There's the boat, right? I had trouble finding the actual picture of the boat. I don't even know if this is it, but I'm sure it looks something similar, right? Fertilizer was being moved. Collin, do you know anything about fertilizer and what it might be capable of other than growing food?
That?
Way more than that. That is like, do you remember the giant explosion in, someone will tell me in the chat below, where it blew up like almost the whole city, crazy explosion. That was like Anfo, like Beirut, Indy said. Yep.
Beirut.
Right. That was pretty much fertilizer.
Yeah.
So also Yemen Houthis captured the American Remus 600 unmanned underwater vehicle. This device is considered one of the most modern underwater reconnaissance units in the United States. You want to take a look at that, Collin? Look what it is. Look at that. We got the Shark Cam module and the acoustic Doppler current provider and the lifting ball. It's even got a GoPro, Collin. I mean, all right. You know, this totally couldn't leave bombs on, you know, something like a pipeline or anything like that. But anyway, there's this man, Yemeni Houthi official, and his statement targeting these ships.
بيان صادر عن القوات المسلحة اليمنية بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Let's start that back. A statement issued by the Yemeni Armed Forces in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. The Almighty says, permission to fight is granted to those who are being fought because they were wronged, and indeed Allah is capable of granting them victory. This is the truth of Allah Almighty in support of the Palestinian people who are facing aggression and siege in the Gaza Strip up to this moment, and as part of the response to the American-British aggression on our country, the naval forces and the Yemeni armed forces, with the help of Allah Almighty, carried out 2 qualitative military operations targeting 2 American ships in the Gulf of Aden. The first, Sea Champion, and the second, Navis Fortuna. The targeting operation was carried out with a number of appropriate naval missiles, and the hits were accurate and direct by the grace of Allah. That brings the total number of operations of the armed forces in the 24 hours to 4. The first targeted a British ship and resulted in its complete sinking by the grace of Allah. The second operation targeted the American MQ-9 aircraft in the skies of Al Hodeida Governorate. The last 2 operations targeted 2 American ships. The Yemeni armed forces affirmed their full right to take further military measures in the Red and Arabian Seas in defense of our people, our country, and our nation, and an affirmation of the supportive stance towards the oppressed Palestinian people, and that their operations in the Red and Arabian Seas will escalate and will not stop until the aggression ceases and the siege on the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip is lifted. Allah is sufficient for us, and He is the best disposer of affairs, the best master, and the best helper. Long live Yemen, free, dignified, and independent. Victory to Yemen and all the free people of the nation. Sana'a 9 Shaban, 1445 Hijri, corresponding to February 19th. So, yeah. Anything to add, Care Bear? Since you told him to try Jesus, sounded like. So, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know.
I don't think we've mentioned Yemen in passing before, but
yeah.
I mean, it's just showing. I'm going to call it the Israel project in terms of if you believe that all they're looking to do is just take over Palestine, like you're dead wrong. And given, two things, the oil that's off the coast, which I think people have already forgotten about, like that's a thing that Israel and the Western powers are trying. Number one. Number two, the Ben Gurion Canal project, which honestly, not sure if that will be a thing, but I think the potential might still be there given now Israel's it's always been shitty. They're even shittier relationship with Egypt right now.
Well, speaking of Joe Biden, President Joe Biden has repeatedly claimed the United States does not seek to expand the war in the Middle East. The actions of the U.S. military are undoubtedly making the situation in the Red Sea more tense. In the wave of American airstrikes targeting Hodeidah on Thursday for the 9th time that day alone, Ansar Allah Armed Forces spokesperson Brigadier Yahya Saree revealed that the group would take further measures within its legitimate right to self-defense in response to the repeated U.S.-UK aggression. In the same statement, Surrey announced that the Barbados-flagged British bulk carrier ship, the Lycabettos, was targeted by naval missiles while sailing in the Gulf of Aden, raising questions at the actual deterrence factor of Americans' escalatory approach. Prior to that, the leader of Ansar Allah, Abdul Malik al-Houthi, the leader of the revolution that U.S.-backed Yemeni government in 2014, confirmed that any escalation on Ansar Allah part would be against Israel and to confront American and British aggression would not target the interests of ordinary Westerners. The comment came in response to claims circulated in the media that Ansar Allah could sabotage a network of underwater internet cables that run through the Red Sea. We do not plan to target submarine cables, and we have no intention of doing so. What is reported in the media is a lie aimed at distorting our humanitarian position on the war on Gaza, he said. Many Western outlets promoted the claim, raising fears of the safety of infrastructure critical to the functioning of the Western internet and the transmission of financial data. Yemen is strategically located as internet lines connecting entire continents pass near it. Almost like natural gas lines, Collin. Almost
probably, yeah.
I'd check for boots. Just saying. Airstrikes and claims that internet access may be cut off may be the tip of the escalatory iceberg, according to the government of Sana'a. The Minister of Information, Daifala al-Shami, held a press conference on Thursday announcing that they have information that the UAE is seeking to recruit agents from multiple foreign nationalities in cooperation with Al-Qaeda and ISIS to target ships in the Red Sea and the Arabian Sea in order to confuse and distort operations carried out by Ansar Allah in support of Gaza. According to al-Shami, the move is supported by the U.S. ISIS, that's the Israeli Secret Intelligence Service, right? ISIS? Oh, wait, no, they're something else, right? Maybe? What?
Yeah.
Contrary to what is being promoted in much of the Western media, which has taken the line that Ansar Allah's Red Sea blockade has nothing to do with the ongoing genocide in Gaza. Review of the targets of Ansar Allah's attacks make their motivations crystal clear. On October 19th, Ansar Allah fired drones and missiles at Israel's southern Eilat port. In mid-November, the naval forces seized an Israeli ship headed towards occupied Palestine. Shortly after, Ansar Allah publicly announced that the Israeli-linked ship would not be allowed to pass through the Bab al-Mandab Strait. Later, they announced that the ban on shipping would extend to all vessels attempting to reach Eilat port. All of these measures were in support of a single, repeatedly declared goal, which was to pressure Israel to stop its war on Gaza and allow food and water to enter the besieged strip. With visible sadness and anger, Abdul Malik al-Houthi enumerated in a televised speech on Tuesday, we just heard, the reasons that motivate Yemen to continue operations to prevent international navigation supporting Israel in the Red Sea, the continued mass killing of the Gazans, renewed American support for Israel, including with lethal weapons and use of internationally banned weapons against civilians in Gaza, including white phosphorus. Al-Houthi said that the Yemeni military's retaliatory strikes in the Red Sea had proven to be effective, as it led to the almost complete closure of the port of al-Rashash, the name of Eilat before Israel annexed it, and all food supply chains to Israel that were passing through the Red Sea, and Bab al-Mandab stopped by 70%, and prices in the Israel market rose by 30 to 50% after ships were forced to divert course through the Cape of Good Hope. Israel, he noted, was one of the largest beneficiaries of maritime trade, which imports in 2022 reaching to $133 billion, thanks to the Red Sea. Responding to those who questioned the feasibility of Ansar Allah's position, al-Houthi said that the Yemeni operations have caused repercussions for ship insurance, noting that insurers are now refusing to insure ships heading towards the port of Palestine. Not only that, he added, but insurance companies require Israeli and American ships to pay additional amounts of up to 50%. Our operations at sea led to a decline in Israel's total imports of products by 25% during the past months. Al-Houthi said the Israeli Minister of Economy and Industry admitted that Red Sea operations harmed its trade relations with 14 countries. Amid threats of escalation and even whispers of a Western-led ground invasion of Yemen, Ansar Allah has reiterated its commitment to its mission, mobilization, military training demonstrations, and other activities will be continued as long as the aggression against Gaza continues. It is reaffirmed, saying that operations at sea will continue until Israel allows food and medical supplies and the delivery of basic needs into Gaza. The U.S. and UK will not achieve their goals through aggression against our country, and the only solution is to stop the aggression and deliver food and medicine to the people of Gaza, al-Houthi vowed. Collin, I wanted to mention a phrase I've heard one of our friends mention, Fiorella, the word paper tigers. You know what that means? You heard of this phrase? Okay, so
Yeah.
the argument has been that the U.S. military, and NATO military for that matter, is overpriced junk. Okay? And Russian military equipment, Chinese military equipment, things that the Yemenis have access to, work just fine.
Right.
And that we may not be the force we think we are. We fund millions of dollars into it, thousands of dollars of R&D, but, you know, planes don't work.
Well, no, but it makes, I mean, look at our infrastructure. You know, how much time does it take? I'm just thinking, I'm just going to give a very basic example, but it still applies here. So in DC, we've had issues with fare evasion. Like people will hop over the gates,
Sure.
you know, in order to avoid paying the fare.
Yeah.
So they've essentially allegedly did, you know, tested several different types of fare gates and they ended up on, well, there was one that they initially did that basically was low, but it will kind of open like this, like basically at your knees.
Okay.
Like, but the idea was that they were a little that they would take fares off your phone and all that kind of stuff. So the tech was there somewhat, but people were still able to hop over the
Even
damn thing.
easier, jump the turn.
Yeah.
Like,
So you can easily hop over it. So, but they spent millions of dollars in the name of fare evasion to install these high attack fare gates, but people were still able to hop over them. So then they had to spend more money to essentially get taller ones, that you would have, like, you technically can't not hop over them. They're a lot taller. You can still get over them if you really try, but it's the idea of like we're just I say that because I think just generally in terms of our infrastructure, we seem to be very wasteful, and the things that we use are not working well, like, or at least to the best that you think that they should be, considering the money that people are paying into it, many times with our tax dollars. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that even our weapons are shit, because because given like our track record, like, who's gonna want the shit that we have here and versus like maybe like China, like, that seems to
well,
be generally more efficient, maybe even cheaper, but better quality.
take a look at Ukraine.
Well, it depends what it is.
How much aid have we spent in Ukraine, military and otherwise?
Billions.
They're still losing by a lot.
Right.
By a lot. So they're getting all the fancy everything from everyone. Airplanes, tanks, missile systems. It's all there. Russia still manages to do what they need to. So, what are you going to do? So,
Yeah.
But that's all I had to talk about on that. So, if you guys want to, tell me what you think, leave a comment down below. Like, subscribe, share. Very easy. Please help share the stream. It's one of the best things you can do for us. Subscribing would also help. Hitting the bell. Make sure you know when we're live. If you hit that subscribe button, let me know what number you get. Put that in the comments down below too. Rockfin and Rumble. Let's go check there. If you don't know already, you can go to our Rockfin and Rumble channel, and leave us tips because we're monetized there, and I will read them. That's not the button I need. This is the button I need. There you go. Look at that. Indy Left just put the word boobies because they're on his mind. Apparently. Almost like Ukraine is the pretext for demilitarizing the West. Denver Atwood over on the Rockfin. Yes, that Beirut explosion was not fucking fertilizer. That was the PR line. Well, it was sure. I mean, it was ANFO and anhydrous ammonia, which same thing. If I'm not mistaken. I mean, could have been some other fun stuff there too. We're not sure how it started. Spontaneously combusted. So, fun stuff, right? But yeah, I'll take any info you got on that though. I'd love to read into more stuff like that. I'll put on my tinfoil hat. Rabbi Shmuley's used dildo in the chat says subscribe. Look at that. They know what to do.
Yeah.
Good products by that guy,
Yeah.
apparently.